Lotu-Iiga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's a joy to stand up here and speak to this bill and to hear from around the House that it has universal support for what is an important piece of legislation, not just for our consumers but our businesses as well. Sir, may I take the opportunity as my first speech in the House of this, the 50th Parliament, to congratulate you on your appointment and also to congratulate our Minister who's bringing this important piece of legislation to the House. I also want to just take a quick opportunity to thank all those people in Maunga-Kia, certainly that supported me, but all the people back home. Thank you for putting your support, confidence and trust in me as your local Member of Parliament. Sir, this legislation supports the government's clear agenda, which was set out in the address from the throne, about managing the government's finances, about producing a more competitive and productive economy and delivering, sir, jobs, opportunities and economic growth and prosperity for our country. Sir, it does that by allowing in our consumer transactions confident consumers who may be able to make informed decisions around effective markets. Sir, the balance that must be found in this legislation is to balance, as my colleague from the Green Party said, the rights and the desires of our businesses to maximise profits and drive economic growth with those needs of the consumers and some who are vulnerable consumers in our communities, and to protect their interests in some of these commercial transactions. And so, sir, it really is about principle-based legislation, that trading is fair, that transactions are fair. But, sir, fair trading does not regulate for risk, it cannot regulate for price, and it cannot, sir, regulate for outcomes in competitive markets. And as I campaigned and travelled throughout my electorate of Maunga-Kia, on the one hand, I hear from my local businesses that government cannot over-regulate. They cannot put too much compliance in our laws, our regulations, and they cannot overburden businesses with tax and compliance. On the other hand, sir, the numbers of people that come through my electorate office that are seeking fair transactions, that have been the subject of particularly unscrupulous moneylenders and the like, and that is why this piece of legislation, as well as a piece of legislation that will be released later this year, part of our program to protect consumers, particularly those vulnerable consumers in areas like Maunga-Kia. So I'm glad that what was mentioned today around financial literacy and around, I would add to that, budgeting services that are critical for consumers to better protect themselves, to get better information around goods and services that they consume and purchase. But I think we've got to be careful, sir, that the overall bent of our legislation does not take away from the personal responsibility that consumers and individuals and their families must undertake when they go into such commercial transactions. And sir, I might just want to add that laws in themselves, sir, do not produce good outcomes. If we are going to regulate, we need enforcement agencies that not just uphold the law, enforce the law and bring about prosecutions when such laws are put in place. So, sir, I certainly commend this bill to the House. I look forward to discussing the various parts of the bill within our Select Committee, the Commerce Select Committee, which is a very busy Select Committee. And, sir, I commend this particular bill to the House. Thank you.
Claire Curran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to add